Hello, everybody. It's so nice to have you all here. Thank you for dropping by. We're here with another lunchtime conversation, another lunchtime session, and I'm going to present you yet another value proposition. You can already see it in this ancient brochure booklet. It is a stainless steel chronograph with a moon phase and a triple calendar with an integrated bracelet, and it is by Movado. And you can see there was once also a model executed in full 18 karat yellow gold as well. Now, a little bit of an history here. Movado is, of course, a brand that we mostly know as a mall brand in our time, and that hasn't really reflected well, of course, in the secondary market, on the prices in the secondary market, how they trend on the secondary market. But for us collectors, of course, for us watch enthusiasts, what Four Nines Fine in the chat is calling the wristwatch degenerates, of course, this just simply presents a good deal. In the vintage collectors market, Movado is known for their very prestigious chronograph movements, M90 and M95 specifically. This particular model, Movado Astronic HS360, comes to us from the 70s, right, where in fact Movado was held in the same company as Zenith, MZM. And that was between the years of 1969 to 1983. This meant, of course, there was a lot of collaboration, a lot of sharing of parts and movements between the two companies. And Zenith's El Primero and their caliber 146 basically replaced those Movado chronograph calibers, M90 and M95, which have, again, a great pedigree themselves. And perhaps I will do a video on those some other time. And since Zenith was actually in an ongoing trademark battle with the television company in the US, the Movado watches were especially important for them in the United States market, stateside, and they tended to market basically the Movado branded watches more than the Zenith in the American market. So this basically is a watch that runs on a caliber that precedes the famous caliber 400, right? For example, produced by Zenith, the El Primero caliber, that we can find also in the Daytona between the years of 1988 and 2000. Of course, this is a version of that high-beat chronograph, high-beat automatic chronograph caliber that also has a module for the triple dates and a moon phase. You have seen on the case back the same zenith mark, perhaps. And you can see the movement here. And this particular movement, as I mentioned, is a predecessor of caliber 400. And it's the 3019 PHC. Sorry, PHF, with the modules. And you can see this watch is pretty much the same as the more prominent Zenith Espada, right, which is cosmetically a little different, even though by and large the same watch, and which has a movement with a higher jewel count. As you saw in the Movado Astronic, you had the same movement, 3019 PHF with 17 jewels. Here you have 31 jewels. But how they trend in the secondary market, I think, depends more on how the fates of the two brands have been transformed over the years, and how the current lack of esteem, I should say, on the Movado brand has affected the pricing of these models in the secondary market. Let's check out some of these prices and how the Movado Astronic HS360 has been trending in the secondary market. As I mentioned, this is the forgotten integrated bracelet stainless steel sports watch from the 70s. And you can see, for example, here, an example of it that is based on that zenith chronograph movement, the high beat automatic chronograph movement. And that, in fact, adds to it what is the highest complication ever put on a Zenith El Primero chronograph movement, a triple date with a moon phase. And you can see this one is in a decent condition, an honest, well-worn condition, not the sharpest case I've ever seen in these models, but still quite robust, quite distinct, and quite fat, I should say. You can see the movement in here, 17 jewels. You can sometimes find these with Zenith branded bracelets. You can sometimes find these with Zenith casebacks. Again, as I mentioned, the parts were shared back and forth, as were the movements. And you can see from the profile how the chamfers on the case are still quite distinct. So this is a watch in a decent, well-worn, honest condition, and it trends right under 7 $100,000. And of course, the seller actually accepts offers right there. And it is a professional seller based in the United States. There is one with an Italian seller that's a little cheaper, that's sold for a fixed price. And it, in fact, presents even a better example of the watch, perhaps in what we can call an almost impeccable condition. You can see how sharp and how thick that case is and how the chambers are distinct. Another peek at the Zenith El Primero movement 3019 PHF. And you can see that this one has a Zenith case back, Zenith branded case back, even though it's otherwise branded Movado on the dial and on the case. And this one is right at $6,500 US, including the shipping from Italy. Now, just to give you an idea about how this presents even a higher value proposition compared to the Zenith, this is, of course, a pretty special example, right, of the Zenith Espada. Comes with the box, papers, booklets, practically, a tag, practically as a full set. But you have already seen that it lists over $12,000. And you're essentially getting the same watch. And for someone who is a collector of chronographs, for someone who is a fan of the Zenith El Primero automatic chronograph movement, both of these watches would be, of course, great additions to the collection. But of course, the value proposition remains the Movado Astronic HS 360. This is a much better deal out of Germany, right under 10K, a Zenith Espada. The same watch, just branded differently. One for the US market as Movado, one for the European market as Zenith. And again, for us collectors, the kind of damage that Movado suffered as a brand returns back to us as quite a great deal. And this one is of course with a slightly different bracelet with folded links, like a 3-link, a take perhaps on some of the Speedmaster bracelets of the time, and a variation, you might say, of the President bracelet for Rolex. And that also looks quite nice, but I really do prefer the more integrated look achieved by the stainless steel bracelet here that has single connecting links. The yellow gold version being much more rare, of course, trends significantly higher. But I'm sure in the right moment, being at the right place at the right time, you might find these for a song. And that goes for both the steel, and the yellow gold. Movado Astronic HS 360 triple calendar moon phase automatic chronograph in stainless steel with a fully integrated bracelet. And for someone who is looking for a stainless steel sports watch from the 70s, for someone who is looking for an interesting addition to their collection of chronographs, for those who are committed fans of Zenith automatic chronograph movements, this would be an incredible add to a collection. I will close by welcoming some of you right here. 49's Fine, welcome. Bert in Dundee, welcome. Diego, welcome to you. It's so nice to see all of you in this channel. Big Meech, hey, you came in with your sheep again, an entire herd. Bezels, yes, I did a sneak preview at the end of last night's live stream, which you should, of course, always check out as an after show to the Archie Luxury live stream for these sorts of finds and steals. And on eBay and on Chrono24, you can find a lot of decent examples of these Movado Astronic HS 360 watches that are a result of the merging between Movado and Zenith between the years of 1969 and 1983. Watches that carry on the heritage of one of the first automatic chronograph movements in the world produced by Zenith, the El Primero, that has the most complicated version of that automatic chronograph movement with the addition of the triple calendar and the moon phase. And finally, that also has the beating heart that is an ancestor to the caliber 400 base that gave us some of the best pre-ceramic Rolex Daytonas that have the Zenith automatic chronograph movements. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this little exploration useful for your future searches and hopefully for your forthcoming barnyard finds. Movado Astronic HS360, the forgotten stainless steel integrated bracelet sports watch of the 1970s that offers great value and a great useful complication to boot. Like and subscribe for future content on these sorts of watches, as well as, of course, Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin, Jaeger LeCoultre, and our shared passion of wristwatches. And if you want to support the channel, you know, spreading the word is the best way, is the most invaluable way to help out my channel. If you want to contribute, the options are there in the ticker. And I'm signing off. Thank you so much for your support and presence.